What's up, gamers? Aaron Shack here, and we are live with the Shackcast episode 48. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the latest gaming news of the past week and even leading up to today. Let's jump right into it. I'll have some visual assets on screen at certain points, but first I want to talk about Multiversus. This is the Warner Brothers and DC fighting game that has a bunch of characters in it. It is cross-play and free-to-play. They did release a video update last week, and they mentioned that the full game would now launch May 28th, 2024. The exciting thing about this is that Player First Games actually had us play this game in early access last fall, and we were really impressed with the game. I think myself, Andrew Lyons, and other content creators that I play with, and also a lot of viewers would jump in, and we played this game together, either cooperatively or against each other, and it was really fun, and we theorized often about what Warner Brothers characters might show up. It could be anything from DC Comics, it could be cartoons, it could be movies, it could be just anything owned by that franchise. So you can see the full roster on their website. Very big updates on the way for that. So yeah, I dig it. Multiversus is by Player First Games and published by Warner Brothers Games. There's an FAQ if you want to dive in a little deeper, but honestly, that video is really good. It really catches you up on where they are and what the steps moving forward are gonna be. Okay, so a lot of maps, a lot of characters, really fun play styles, definitely worth looking into. Remember that the best way to support the channel is to sign up for a membership on the YouTube channel. Members get exclusive channel badges to highlight their continued support over the months and years. As a member, you get access to special emojis expressing a variety of emotions and support for the channel. Members will also receive photo and status updates, early access to select videos, and at higher tiers, access to a members-only Discord channel. Your support is what keeps the Shackcast photography blog and the YouTube channel going. Please like and share the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on a video or a Shackcast episode. Thank you for tuning in. Next, what I have for you is that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is now 40% off. I have links in the description down below, but via a Forbes article, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is now 40% off. Now, I do disagree with the headline saying that this is what it should have cost in the first place. I don't really think it's fair to assume when you compare games like Helldivers or Payday 3, games that launched at the $40 price point, you're comparing those to like AAA, $60, $70 titles. That is something for developers and publishers to decide on their own what they want to price a game, because sometimes, they need to recoup costs, and sometimes it's about keeping up with the standard price that we expect all AAA and most games to be. Is it nice when a game is $20, $30, $40? Absolutely, and I'm not against that. Especially when it's high quality and you feel like, wow, we got a deal here. I don't feel like everyone has to bend the knee or that it needs to create some sort of new standard, although I would like it, and I do think that games being at the $70 price point with collector's editions being $80 to $100 or more, it just makes it financially untenable, especially when you have multiple games coming out in a week or a month. That can be a major financial expense because, 2 games could be $140 plus tax. 3 games can be $210 plus tax. That's crazy. But yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with the value of the game. But Suicide Squad seeing such a big markdown is probably not a good sign. I'm curious as to whether this first update at the end of the month, which will add the Joker on March 28th, I'm very excited for it. I want to tap in and see what the story's like. If they can fix some of the 5-second long lag that we had when we were playing multiplayer, even if it was people across the world or even local sessions playing with other people that live in the United States, we still had about a 2 to 5 second lag, which was enough to make the experience very unpleasant, and all of my combat options were very delayed. So if they can fix stuff like that, I'd like to see if the game would at least last its first year that's been planned, and hopefully that wraps up any meaningful story threads. I would hate to see another Marvel's Avengers problem happen here. Okay, so next, this one's an interesting one. The PC version of Final Fantasy XVI is in the final stages of optimization. The team is looking to release a demo before its release. This is coming in via Game Informer. But yeah, very excited to see this. This was dropped on March 11th. Final Fantasy XVI was a great exclusive title for the PlayStation 5, and I'm really excited that they'll finally be bringing this to PC, because I really think Final Fantasy is at its strongest when it's multi-platform. It's a series where a lot of games in the series have been multi-platform, but because Square Enix gets paid by Sony to make their games exclusive, and they've done this ritualistically, very heavily with all their games, Sony pays them not to put their games anywhere else, or they at least pay for a temporary exclusivity, which usually lasts about a year or so. But as with some things like Spider-Man, Marvel's Avengers, that exclusivity never ran out on that. But I think at some point we should see the Final Fantasy VII Remake come to other platforms, namely the Xbox. I think Final Fantasy should be everywhere. And now that we're seeing Final Fantasy XIV coming to Xbox, I think that's very exciting for them. That allows that game to be truly multi-platform, and it doesn't exclude any players. And of course, it opens you up to more sales and more potential there. So yeah, very excited to see that coming to PC. The game is going to look gorgeous on PC. It looked great on the PlayStation 5. And I'm sure a bunch of people that were excited to play it will get their chance. Starbreeze has removed its CEO and appointed a new interim CEO following Payday 3's poor performance. We talked about Payday 3 earlier, and of course, this was a game that launched at $40, and I was kind of curious as to why that happened, because I would easily pay full price for that. And Starbreeze is owned by Embracer Group, so of course their expectations are really high in a lot of the games that they've purchased here. The company has a clear strategy centered around creating attractive games on our own licensed IPs, says the Starbreeze chairman. The board's consolidated assessment is that the execution of strategy needs a different leadership. And it looks like we'll see that change take place. I'm not really sure what that means for the game in terms of more content. I know they've added some maps from Payday 2. I know they have a lot of stuff that you can grind for. They have an in-game currency and a currency that you can spend real-world money on. In comparison to Payday 2, I really don't feel like there's that much content, and that might have been what was so underwhelming at launch, was like you play the first, whatever it is, 5-6 missions or so, and it's a very replayable game, but not quite in the same way that Payday 2 was. And it really found a lot of us just simply going back to Payday 2 because there's even heists that I haven't even had time to finish from Payday 2 because they were regularly adding content for over 10 years. I mean, that's a lot of content, and it was good stuff. It was good things that you could come back to, whether it was weapons or new maps, new heists, all these various things, new characters. I mean, it always felt like there was something new to discover and something for everyone. So, I don't know. I'm curious about Payday 3's future. I hope it's not in jeopardy because I love the series, and I have enjoyed my time with Payday 3, but I also think it launched at a time where a lot of other games were coming out, and immediately my attention was pulled away from that. The next thing, this is a tweet that I'm going to link. It has some quotes here from an interview that Mr. Beast did, and this is really interesting. So I'll read it out to you, and we can kind of discuss after that. In reviewing dozens of Mr. Beast videos from over the years, Jimmy Donaldson has nearly erased himself as a person from his episodic output. If viewers don't really see him having fun, that's by design. Donaldson has outright said that he sees personality as a limitation for growth, once noting in a podcast that hinging your content on who you are as a person means risking not being liked. And if someone doesn't like a creator as a person, they may not give the videos a chance, which, yeah, speaks to be true about people like him. He's a big personality, so if someone doesn't like him, they're going to assume that his videos are bad or assume that he's overhyped or something like that. Precisely because all he ever does is YouTube, and all he wants to do is entertain people. He lives in his own recording studio. While his free time seems minuscule, the rare times he does pull away from work are for dates with his girlfriend that center around activities that could enrich his videos. So in that content creator way, and I can speak to this because we talked about this in episode 47, that, you know, as I'm saying that I'm reevaluating the way I'm doing my content, this is a full-time job, and it's even more than just like we don't clock out. And it shows here that he's constantly thinking about what his next video could be. And so even when he's going out on dates with his girlfriend, he's using, you know, things he's seeing or ideas that are generating in his mind. It's hard to turn that off. So that's very relatable from my perspective. He considers a single hour of a date to be worth $100K had it been dedicated to work instead. I don't think that's healthy to look at your free time as, or any time spent not working as, an expense to your business. He makes a lot of money. I think he'll be fine. I really don't think there's a way he could spend. He would have to be really foolish to spend all the money he's ever amassed and ever will amass and become broke. It's not something that's unheard of. It's not impossible, but it would be very unlikely. So I think he can live a comfortable life or a decent life, even a very enriched life, without spending all of his money. So I don't think that's a healthy perspective to look at time not spent working as a profit loss, and to look at spending time with friends or family or your girlfriend as a loss. That's definitely an unhealthy perspective. Let's see. Donaldson has nearly erased himself. We already talked about that. Also, another thing, viewers may hardly see Mr. Beast having fun in his videos because he's not actually having a good time. In podcast, Donaldson tells hosts that he goes so hard he won't stop working until he burns out and isn't able to do anything at all. With a laugh, he admits he has a mental breakdown every other week. I'll link that if you want to check that out, but the dedication to his work is admirable in some ways, but it does border on unhealthy. I've definitely put myself in that position, in terms of relating to this story here. I have definitely done that where I've done long streams, or I've played a game for long periods of time, or I've exhausted myself editing so many videos back to back, trying to get stuff out there, just trying to clear out my backlog so that I can go relax and lay down or go do a workout or whatever other things. And sometimes me just trying to wrap up all the tasks I have for the day, the week, or whatever it may be, I sometimes I just won't stop until I burn out. So I understand his motivation to just like, he's got to get that weekly video out, and it's always got to be better than the last one. And there's always that pressure and that anxiety, and that probably weighs on you beyond the physical burdens of the limitations of your body to work that hard. So scary, unhealthy, and definitely something to keep an eye on. Next, Zack Snyder on Batman. There were definitely some comments both on a podcast and in various tweets where Zack Snyder has explained some stuff about Batman. I linked this tweet here because I think it's an interesting discussion. So the person tweeting here says, Snyder also said Bruce is still that broken child trying to bring balance to the world. But after 20 years of grief and failure, the line separating hero from villain has blurred. And of course, this is referring to Batman versus Superman. Snyder wanted to give Batman more nuance than just purely good and incorruptible morals. So I think Zack Snyder does this when he breaks down a lot of characters, whether it's Superman or Batman. With Superman, he broke down the fact that he is an American alien. He's someone that comes from another world. Therefore, he is an immigrant. And so it ends up being an immigrant story. It ends up being an alien invasion story. It ends up mimicking a lot of the story of Jesus Christ, which is not unusual because Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were, of course, one is a Jew, one's Christian. Obviously Superman was sort of a Jesus character. We see it with Batman here, where he's always got the morals, the no-kill rule, and I think Zack wanted to explore, why does that rule exist, or why does he hold firm to that? So Zack Snyder's tweet here says, Batman is all of us. He is our rage at injustice. He stands alone, as we all wish we could, in the face of a corrupt system that wishes to oppress and exploit. He is that broken child, searching the dark alleys of the human soul to bring balance to the world. The Batman of the DCEU began his career believing in the difference he can make, only for his optimism to die with his first student. Now he's talking about Robin. As Snyder describes it, Bruce Wayne is a broken and jaded person, but he thought he can make Dick Grayson a better Batman. Only when Robin's faith in humanity is ultimately what gets him killed, it only drives Bruce further down the hole to believe his darkness and pain is the only thing that makes Batman work. Of course, it takes a sacrifice from an alien he once saw as his enemy, Superman, to rise out of that darkness. Through it all, Robin's role was a symbol both of what Bruce lost and what he was able to rediscover. There's also kind of a response here from Grant Morrison about Zack Snyder's comments about, essentially on the Joe Rogan podcast, he said something loosely along the lines of, Batman is irrelevant if DC doesn't let him kill. I'm paraphrasing here. It's a weird way of protecting your God. And it's an interesting phrasing, and I think I understand what he means by it. I think a lot of people took it very literally, and I think there's a deeper meaning behind it. For me, what I see when he says that is that he wants to play with the idea of like pushing Batman to kill, or maybe having him kill and realizing that's why he needs to establish a code or have the one rule. And a lot of times it's like him chasing his parents' killer is what leads him, or maybe it's almost killing Superman. Like he was willing to break the one rule there, in Batman versus Superman. So I think that is an interesting story to play around with. And when you don't have those boundaries of, he unquestionably would never do this. He would never even think about it. Like that makes for sort of a block in your storytelling if you can't go there, or you can't even explore areas close to it because it's like it's such an unwavering rule that you have there. But I think as in music, as in a lot of other things, you learn the rules so that you learn how to sort of bend the rules and break the rules, and occasionally you create some unique art out of that. But Grant Morrison's response here is kind of interesting. For Morrison, Batman's decision to not kill his enemies not only separates the hero from the villains he fights, but rather is an integral part of the character's psychology. In quotes now, the Batman puts himself in danger every night, but steadfastly refuses to murder as an essential element of the character's magnificent, horrendous, childlike psychosis, Morrison writes, speaking to the hero's code of honor that was locked in from the time he was a small child. In a way, Bruce Wayne never really grew out of that childlike state. Stuck forever as the little boy who lost his parents in Crime Alley. So he describes it as fundamental to Batman's grandeur as a fictional adventure hero. I get that, and I do agree, and I think it makes him interesting, but it's like, where does that come from? Like, where does it, is it something, as a little boy, I don't think you have the wherewithal, and you don't really have someone else telling you. You really don't have Alfred or Gordon telling you as a young boy, like, listen, I know you want this guy, but you can't kill him. Like, no one's enforcing that on him. It's something that he grows into and learns himself. Or maybe he learns through a set of circumstances, which I think we've seen in the comics before. We've seen moments, even in Batman versus Superman, where it's like he's so jaded, he's beating up and branding criminals, and he's taking things to the next degree. Even at the end of Batman Arkham Knight, the video game, he's using Scarecrow's toxin to create a whole new element of fear, to take things up to another level from just beating up and jailing your criminals, right? It's truly establishing fear and using biological chemical weapons to do so. So it's interesting that he has a code, but like, where's the line? Because there's a lot of things there where things get blurry. So let me know what you think on that. I don't think there's really a right or wrong here. I think there's just kind of understanding what Snyder wants. He's a big fan of The Dark Knight Returns, so I think he really likes that jaded and cynical Batman. I think he did a good job telling that type of story. Black Myth Wukong, game that we've covered on the channel several times in some of the pre-release videos, is coming out this year on August 20th, and it will be launching with full ray tracing and DLSS 3.5. So I've actually linked this. There's a new video. It's about a minute long. I didn't cover it yet on the channel because it's really just a minute and there's not a lot to say about it, but it does look gorgeous. It looks incredible. It's just not like, I'll actually pull it up on screen. It's not like the other videos where we've analyzed combat and gameplay and stuff like that. Mostly here, they are just showing various locations, and then at the end they kind of want to showcase, how the fighting looks. Which, of course we've studied this, that Wukong has tons of abilities, different ways he can use his weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, that's coming to Steam and Epic Games Store. So, pretty interesting. Wanted to share the link for that. Keep you guys up to date on what's going on with that. Check out my merch store on Spring. Link is in the description. You'll find apparel, homeware, accessories, pet stuff, and drinkware, all designed around my brand. I'm proud to sport this stuff myself, and I know you will enjoy it as much as I do. Profits from the merch store support the podcast and the YouTube channel. Take a look and see if anything suits you. I have a wide arrangement of colors and sizes, with many designs being rotated in constantly. Listen to the podcast and check in regularly for coupon codes. Thank you for your support. Next, Steam unveils Steam Families is coming to the Steam beta client. So what this means is that this feature will be in the beta client. It'll be tested and all that kind of stuff, and then eventually it'll be open for wider release. But what does this mean? Well, it's pretty interesting. I have the link here, and it will take you to the Steam store here. But basically what you can do is create a family of up to 5 members, and you can share your entire library with the family. So what that means is that anyone can play any game that's in your Steam library that is supported by family sharing, which it will say on the right column when you're browsing a game in the store. There's a lot of games that support this. I believe they were saying over 6,000. What it means: 5 people can be on this, but of those 5 people, you cannot play the same game at the same time. So if you wanted to, share Helldivers 2 with everybody, you can't all log on and play it at the same time. So that's the only drawback. But those 5 people can be gaming on your Steam account at any time and playing multiple different games. If you want to play Elden Ring while someone else plays Helldivers and someone else plays Destiny or whatever it may be, you'll just create profiles and you'll have those 5 family members, and then you just kind of decide whose library you're going to use. So if you are kind and want to allow people to mooch off of you, or if you are a mooch and you're looking for somebody that has hundreds of games in your library, you just simply accept those requests. And you can also, of course, limit things for child accounts, who can play what games. So the way I see it is like, this is a really strong feature. It's great for families, especially if you're a PC gamer. It's great for friends too, but I understand that they definitely built this with families in mind, that the parents would probably be gamers, or they want control over what their kids are playing, or you don't want to have to purchase the same game like several times for anyone in the household to be able to play it. It's just that if you wanted to play at the exact same time, that you would have to purchase multiple copies. So actually very exciting. I think that's really good news. Next, the Halo show producers, 343 Industries and Steven Spielberg, drew heavily from the Halo lore and charted their own storytelling path for the TV show, instead of looking at the game and creating a show that ties itself very closely to that. They believe that this is necessary to properly adapt Halo for TV and for creative freedom. I have some thoughts on this, and this is courtesy of Mr. Rebs Gaming on Twitter. I have a link in the description. Definitely check him out. He's your number one guy for Halo news, especially surrounding Halo Infinite nowadays. He posts a lot of maps and stuff that people create. He's definitely a really strong curator in that sense. But lately he's been digging into like the development of Halo Infinite and trying to understand, what happened and what's coming and all that stuff. But this is interesting because it's about the TV show. Here's a quote, and these are from 2022. We didn't look at the game, we didn't talk about the game, we talked about the characters in the world, so I never felt limited by it being a game. Early on, we were thinking about doing something that could tie very closely with the game. What we were finding was trying to verbatim stay with everything that come before wasn't serving the medium. It also wasn't serving the creative teams and their need to express a story and build the world through their eyes. And Rebs also follows this up by saying, this is why the Halo show producers decide to make the show about Master Chief discovering his own humanity outside of his armor. I think the top comment is also pretty funny. Why call it Halo then? Just call it lame sci-fi show that no one will watch. I think that's what really brings me in here is why even call it Halo? Like, why not just make a science fiction show? And then you can tell whatever story you want, and it could be similar to Halo without, crossing those boundaries and going into copywritten territory. What this says to me is that they wanted the Halo cake and they wanted to eat it too. So they wanted to be able to play around with iconic characters and worlds and races and stuff like that, but they also think that they can tell a better story. And that's where it comes into me as like entitlement from the writers, the creative teams, where they're just saying like, oh, we could do a better story and, we don't really care about the fans is basically what all this says, is that we can tell a better story. We need full creative freedom. We need it. We have to have it. That's crazy. Just come up with something new. Because you're clearly ruining this. I haven't seen season 2 yet, but the fact that season 1 was free on YouTube to watch, I would not pay money to watch that show. It was not good at all. Romancing the villain and making Halo mostly a love story and mostly about Chief being out of the suit. Very little action. It was very disappointing. Now, I know season 2 is about Reach, but once again, it's still taking him out of the armor and, just telling counterintuitive stories. I know it's supposed to build up to the Flood being revealed for season 3, but it's just not very good, and this really shows why. And I'm hoping that the Fallout TV series from Amazon will be better, because it looks like, because the creative team there, they're fans, especially the director, they're fans of the Fallout universe, and they've enjoyed the Bethesda games, but knew that, we can't really, retrace it perfectly, but we still want to take those iconic characters, the look, and the general storyline and try to play with it. Halo kind of did the exact opposite. They said, we know better than you, and what happened last time somebody did that? Anthem was the time when, a studio said, hey, we know better than the fans, we're going to do this our way, and now it's kaput. So I imagine Halo will go a little while because, curiosity of, okay, is this finally the season where the show is good? Is this the one that turns the series around? I think people will always be curious and always want to watch Halo stuff, even if it's poor, low quality. All right, so next, from Bloomberg, Sony hits pause on PSVR 2, which is PlayStation Virtual Reality 2 production, as their unsold inventory piles up. Now, the PSVR 2 is a $550 accessory and has suffered from lack of compelling content. Now, of course, you know that the PlayStation 5 is also a very expensive platform as well. So, purchasing a PlayStation 5 for $500 and then purchasing a VR unit on top of that for $550, that's $1,050 before you've even bought extra controllers or picked up a single game. And they also didn't bundle any of this. They never tried bundling with the console, maybe at a slightly reduced price, or maybe throwing in a game with it, right? Or a couple of games. And then the fact that there's also no backwards compatibility support. You can't play any of the PSVR 1 games, essentially. And this just goes into a long line of what Sony has done anytime they branch out and do something, whether it's the PlayStation Portable or the PS Vita. They'll support it for a little while, and then they'll just kind of get bored of it. And I think that's why I'll probably not... I'll be more reluctant to support PlayStation whenever they do these sort of side ventures, whether it's VR or whether it's portable consoles. Even though I owned a PSP and a Vita, the games were really good at launch. They had a couple licensed titles. They do Uncharted. They did Final Fantasy Tactics. That was super cool. They had Siphon Filter games. They had Resistance games. They had some Metal Gear Solid games like Peace Walker and Metal Gear Acid, right? Interesting stuff. But ultimately, at a certain point, they just quit putting out movies on UMD discs, which go in the PSP. Of course, the digital stuff, stores shut down, devs quit making games. I don't know always as to whether it's difficult to develop for those portable platforms, and maybe that's why. Of course, the graphical limitations and, potentially making a game where it's like, hey, this is coming out on the current gen consoles, but now we have to make like a lesser version for the portable. But the way technology has advanced nowadays, it's like we can basically have our cake and eat it too. I mean, we can have PC and console level quality games on our phones, on our Steam Decks, on the Nintendo Switch. I mean, on varying levels of quality based on the hardware. But yeah, I'm just reluctant because Sony just does not invest enough in these platforms. And so I would be really upset if I had purchased a PSVR 2 and was hearing that they're kind of backing off. Because if they're backing off on this, it probably means that games are next, and that you're probably going to see even fewer games than what are already available on it. So I would invest your VR stuff elsewhere, unfortunately. Next, Ascendant Infinity. Guys, you have got to check this game out. This game has some 80s vibes. You can go to Ascendant.com and sign up for the closed beta. It's coming to Steam and Epic Games Store. This is the world's first adaption shooter. So, Ascendant Infinity is a squad-based and tactical first-person shooter experience with serious balls. Their terms, not mine. Each match is different with game-changing events and extensive adrenaline-fueled shooter battles. Set in a dynamic biopunk world where everything wants to kill you, fight to secure and extract limited resources, and get out with more than just your dignity. Adapt or die. So yeah, they have a trailer here, which I've also linked in the description down below. So if you want to check that out, they have like an in-game lobby. They have character creation. The in-game lobby is a social safe haven where you can create and test new weapons, hone your skills, race vehicles, duel other players. You hang out in like the bar. There's like all sorts of different areas to roam there. Teamwork's the name of the game. Of course, you can see these aliens and biomutants and gas and all sorts of stuff. It's dynamic, and every match mixes up the population, locations of vital resources, match-altering events, NPCs, and game world areas, resulting in a fresh and rewarding experience game to game. So extract and get your rewards. How you do that's up to you. Race to all the resources, hang back and try to steal it from other players. Ambush, melee, stay together, split up. They say they do not care. So yeah, closed beta is coming soon. You can join the community newsletter. The character creation looks very robust. There we go. Ascendant Infinity. They have several videos here and screenshots showcasing the game. It looks really cool, and it's got that like 80s vibe. So I actually really dig that. So I will leave you guys to check out the trailer on that one. But I definitely like the customization. I like the way the characters look. I like that there's vehicles. This is definitely one that I would like to check out and cover on the channel. So once again, that is Ascendant Infinity, ascendant.com. You can catch that in the description down below. Coming up on some of our last thoughts here, Ubisoft dropped a tweet today, and this is really interesting. It's got everybody buzzing. Conversations with in-game characters are getting more real. Now, this has been teased before, but now we're going to see even deeper how this goes. Presenting our research project, Neo, N-E-O, NPCs, a new kind of NPC or non-player character that uses generative AI to really talk to you. Discover how our team of writers and developers are coming together in this exciting experiment. So obviously they're showing a player talking with this character here, and it's showing how it changes the relationship based on what's being said, and that essentially this character could generate dialogue to your responses based on what you say. Of course, everybody's saying that this is going to result in more soulless characters in their games, that this is just AI bros replacing actual hardworking employees that actually script the dialogue themselves. So, I mean, it really depends how it's going to be used. Yeah, it really depends how this is used. I know some people might consider that there's no ethical use of AI, especially in generating, but I'm just curious to see how it goes. I'm going to keep an open mind on this one. It could result in more lifeless characters, and I could see that could be an issue, but we do have a link there to the Ubisoft blog if you want to dive in deeper on this. I'm just interested to see how the technology evolves, because it may be bad at the start, but it might actually grow into something even bigger. And it doesn't really stop people. I don't think Ubisoft should fire all their writers at this point. I think they should probably look at, how can we not only write engaging dialogue and come up with interesting characters, but how can we make sure that the AI knows to work within these bounds of what this character likes and what they do and what they would say and what they wouldn't say and how they behave and how they would not behave, right? And so that way you can make the technology better, and that way you could have virtually unlimited dialogue and interactions, which you just can't have. It's just not possible. You would have to have millions upon millions of writers working really hard on one game, and people move project to project. No one wants to stay on the same thing forever either. And of course, there's limits to how hard humans can work. So this can take up some of the fatigue of the job. It could take up some of the work, and that's really what AI is supposed to be. It's to uplift some of the monotonous workload that we have in our jobs, or to do the dangerous and heavy lifting we employ robots to do. So, last thing here is Destiny's 2 Onslaught mode. Destiny 2 Into the Light developer live stream. This is the first of 3, and this one dropped today. I'm going to cut the sound, but I'm just going to run video in the background. So basically what this looks really awesome. It's a 3-player co-op mode, defending the last city from all threats to Guardians. Building defenses, and you battle against 10 waves of enemies or up to 50 waves in a challenge mode, but they are done in 5 sets of 10. So it's like you get through 10 waves, you get some loot. If you want to back out, back out. If you want to keep going, you can keep going. But that loot is guaranteed. But if you're in the middle, if you're at like wave 25 and everybody dies and the generator explodes, then you lose and you only get the loot that's guaranteed at every group of 10, right? So in that case, you would only get your level wave 10 rewards. But yeah, they're showing here that you have tripwire mines, you've got the generator there, which as you kill the champions, you run over there, you grab the charge, and you throw it at the machine. It refills its health. You also have turrets, and you also have robots, and these can be upgraded up to 3 times. They cost more scrap each time. There's also objectives that you have to venture out and maybe kill enemies or capture something. There might be various objective types happening here. This was a really great showing, and as you can see, there is a new weapon that's being wielded on screen. And they kind of just said, yeah, there's going to be new loot, there's going to be new maps. This is obviously a redesign of a Crucible map made in a way where these areas are defensible from large amounts of AI opponents. And of course, you'll want to, choose your team wisely. It's 3 players, so you might want one of each class, or you might want to choose your builds accordingly based on whatever type of weapons you want. Yeah, there's your distraction robot right there. He kind of just sweeps the floor. I want to see what the upgraded versions of that might be. It'd be really cool to have like an AI robot fighting alongside you guys. So yeah, looks really cool. There will be different enemy factions to battle. They were showing the Fallen today in the gameplay, but some of the art that they've shown actually shows the Hive. There's going to be boss phases, which I'll see if I can pinpoint that moment, because there were several times where there was like a break from the monotony, and they went in and did a boss fight, and there were various objectives that had to be done. Yeah, and it looks like this was almost like a game of Rift. They had to like slam the Rift in order to deal more damage to the boss. So yeah, pretty interesting. And this is all meant to lead up to the Witness, but the idea of like why this mode makes sense within the lore of Destiny is like, hey, we're about to go battle the Witness inside of the Traveler. Earth in the tower in the last city here. Is going to be left vulnerable, so we need to set up defenses. And of course, it's showing here that like our enemies are taking advantage of the fact that some Guardians are going to be going to confront the Witness, and that the last city might be left unguarded. So that's why this mode will kind of just be something that can always be around, right? Like it's a mode that never has to disappear from the game, because lore-wise it could be justified in the same way that they talk about this during the live stream, but that the Crucible taught us it's Guardians versus Guardians, and we're training for moments like this, right? So the Crucible is like a training simulation for what moments like this are. So it's pretty cool. And Shax will be the narrator. He'll be on comms, motivating you to push forward, letting you know what your objectives are, all that good stuff. I think it's really cool. We need more Shacks in the game, especially outside of PvP content. And of course, loot drops here, and of course, there's some sort of reputation for this event as well. It looks really cool to me. Looks really cool. I think I've always wanted Destiny, and especially a lot of other games, to have sort of a horde mode activity, because it brings a lot of, just very simple PvE, turn your brain off and just have a good time. They did say that there's going to be Grandmaster difficulties of this as well, so you're going to have to worry about that, perhaps perfecting your build and stuff like that. This will have matchmaking. So if you're a solo player, you could team up with other people. If you want to come in with your own fire team, you can do it that way. The higher difficulties will require you to LFG with other players using the in-game stuff, or, form your team before you go in. Or as they even challenged people on the live stream, they said, we'd like to see if someone could solo this, because they think it's not possible. So interesting challenge, interesting mode. I think this will add a lot of variety to the game. I do kind of wish that they would let us place the defenses. They're kind of preset areas, and then of course you have to guard the machine here, and heal it by killing the champions. And then of course you can see the more expensive upgrades for the turrets. So you could have different strategies at what you choose to upgrade at what point. You're going to have to strategize with your team. So I think me and Andrew, we just kind of tweeted back and forth at each other on this. I think we're both very excited for this mode. So we enjoy horde modes in games, and so you can expect that we will be doing some live coverage of this on the channel when this releases. So once again, that is everything I have for you today. This has been the Shackcast episode 48. We talked about a lot of gaming news over the past week, a lot of exciting stuff that I am excited to cover on the channel. If you haven't already, check out episode 47, because I went into detail about how I'm creating content on the channel moving forward. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like quitting or giving up live streaming, but I just can't be live every day all the time. So I'm coming out with more short form videos. The Shackcast will be a more regular thing now that I'm investing more time into it. We'll have longer episodes. I'll be able to trim them up into shorts. I've got more guests that I'm going to have on the way, and some deeper discussions that we're going to have on various things involving that. I'm very excited to do all that. Beyond that, I think the only thing that's a mainstay right now is that we're going to continue our Saturday live streams with Texas Wolverines, and Acting Relic is joining us for that every Saturday. We're doing Ghost Recon Wildlands, then we'll delve into Breakpoint, and then we'll go from there. We have a bunch of other co-op games that we're interested in playing on the channel, from first-person shooters, third-person shooters, real-time strategy games. Anything that's co-op, we're going to potentially give it a shot. We've done Gears of War, we've done Halo, and now we're in the Ghost Recon era. So, hope you all enjoy that. I'm going to work on something for Thursdays. I want to keep the comic book spirit alive there. I think we'll probably do some Marvel's Midnight Suns, either live streams or pre-recorded videos. Might be back and forth, and I'll occasionally work in some Marvel's Avengers and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League as I can. But yeah, just less frequent live streams, but still lots going on. I'm going to work on some photography stuff, articles for the website, making videos for the channel. Just a different perspective, a different way of doing things, because, my body has limitations, my mind has limitations, and I also need to build out the channel in forms of generating revenue, brand deals, sponsorships, things that allow me to create better content, but also allow me to continue doing this. So once again, I want to thank you all for watching. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the notification bell, sign up for a membership if you haven't already. It supports the channel and keeps things moving forward. I really appreciate everyone's support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you for Shackcast 49 next time. Take care. Bye. Remember that the best way to support the channel is to sign up for a membership on the YouTube channel. Members get exclusive channel badges to highlight their continued support over the months and years. As a member, you get access to special emojis expressing a variety of emotions and support for the channel. Members will also receive photo and status updates, early access to select videos, and at higher tiers, access to a members-only Discord channel. Your support is what keeps the Shackcast photography blog and the YouTube channel going. Please like and share the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on a video or a Shackcast episode. Thank you for tuning in. Check out my merch store on Spring. Link is in the description. You'll find apparel, homeware, accessories, pet stuff, and drinkware, all designed around my brand. I'm proud to sport this stuff myself, and I know you will enjoy it as much as I do. Profits from the merch store support the podcast and the YouTube channel. Take a look and see if anything suits you. I have a wide arrangement of colors and sizes, with many designs being rotated in constantly. Listen to the podcast and check in regularly for coupon codes. Thank you for your support.